At about 4 p.m, New Zealand Police, supported by New Zealand Customs, terminated 35 search warrants across seized during the course of these operations about 8.6 kilos of meth that came in through the border. Yesterday we recovered about 20 ounces of methamphetamine, over $1 million in cash, 4 firearms, multiple kilos of iodine, and we restrained about $3.7 million in assets to date. Warrants are occurring today, and we expect a number of other arrests to be undertaken. This really came about from an operation that we commenced in 2018 called Operation Van. This focused on a transnational organised crime group primarily linked to international members of the Comancheros, intent on importing what we would say large quantities of methamphetamine and tonnage of cocaine into New Zealand. They established a shore party here that purchased a boat which they spent a lot of money on, and the intent of that boat was to travel out quite a way out to sea and meet other ships that were going to bring in these various products. The intent of the group, as I said, the methamphetamine will be alleged was for the market in New Zealand, but the cocaine was to come through New Zealand and be transshipped into Australia, where the market is significantly bigger than it is here. For a variety of reasons, they were never successful in actually getting any of those products into New Zealand, but they started, we would say, and we'll allege, to access product from various other sources. In August 2019, we terminated a search warrant at a storage unit in Rotorua, seizing 137.5 kilograms of methamphetamine. This was linked to the Operation Van syndicate and was being distributed across the North Island. At that stage, one person pleaded guilty to possession of that product. The members of the Van syndicate will now be charged with possession and supply of methamphetamine relating to that product. During the course of Operation Van, and you'll be aware at other times we've talked about these transnational operational cells that we see operating and functioning and trying to target New Zealand. They are operating at a global level across the world. And to really facilitate what they need to do, they have to conduct communications. And what they're doing, a lot of these organised crime groups now, is using these encrypted platforms, by way of cell phone applications to do these comms. And they do that for the purpose of evading law enforcement and the ability for us not to hear what they're about. So, it creates a massive challenge for us when we're conducting these investigations. In 2020 and early 2020, we made contact with the FBI in regards to some information that they provided us about a potential impending import. And it was out of that we became aware that the FBI and AFP had been able to establish an encrypted platform called ANOM. This came off the back of some stunning work done by the FBI to take down another secure encrypted application called Phantom Secure that was taken down in 2018, creating a void which we now say was used by criminals to use this new application. This meant that through police sharing agreements, we were able to now access and see communications, not live, but be able to see those communications between organised crime groups. And that actually involved elements of the Operation Van syndicate, we'll allege, and also took us into a couple of other syndicates that were also functioning. One of those syndicates was known as Operation Equinox, and that will be alleged identified a number of the Waikato Comancheros senior membership and 6 members, I think about 6 members of the Waikato Mongrel mob that basically were tied in with the Van syndicate, the original Van syndicate, intent on importing large quantities of methamphetamine and MDMA into the country and then supplying that across the country. Through the course of these processes, we also saw significant money laundering. So what you'll see with these groups is they actually create huge amounts of cash. Some's consumed within communities, but a lot of it actually will go offshore. And so that's what we saw. So we saw cash going through criminal remitter networks and going out of the country. So that's a key facilitator for organised crime, because if they can get the product in and then get the cash back out to the suppliers, then they're going to keep coming. So it's a again, a key focus for us to disrupt those cash flows, and a number of people subsequently in various operations have been charged with money laundering, but in this case they'll also be facing significant money laundering charges. So that saw the Equinox Group involved in that distribution. We also established Operation Saltos, which identified a number of Auckland-based headhunters that were also involved in the importation and supply of methamphetamine, and they are now before the court facing significant charges in regards to that process. So the overarching investigation is Operation Trojan Shield, which is run out of the FBI and currently coordinated through Europol, and obviously supported by the AFP, who are a key partner in developing that process. In New Zealand we called it Operation Spyglass, so that was the overarching operation that we ran. We couldn't do this without our partners. A significant part, of course, is NZ Customs, and we do a huge amount of work together to disrupt and dismantle organised crime. In the Operation Van job, for instance, we had some fantastic relationships and partnerships with the Government Communications Security Bureau, with NZ Customs, with the New Zealand Defence Force, and the National Maritime Control Centre. So, and I think Dana will talk to you about some of the work that we did in preparation once we understood what the syndicate was intent on doing, so that we can further strengthen our borders. So that's been a key component for us. The other thing, of course, and you would have heard me talk about this in the past, is what we're actually talking about here is these transnational groups really preying on our vulnerable communities. Methamphetamine is an incredibly addictive, harmful substance, and we've seen a lot of vulnerable communities, right across New Zealand now, sadly, that are being addicted to this product, which is generating a lot of cash for the organised crime and gangs and the like. So this is a good news story for New Zealand. We, along with our partner agencies, have disrupted significant transnational crime groups who are really intent on bringing this product into the country. And I suppose the other thing is we just can't speak highly enough about the FBI and the work that they've done in the background here. New Zealand's a small country, and we've got to build those Five Eyes relationships and with our other partners across the world, because of the capabilities that they have to this sort of stunning work that allows us to be able to do the sort of work that we can do here in New Zealand.